Mafia boss finalized the divorce until a Christmas Eve reunion revealed her twin pregnancy. Hey, my beautiful viewers, before we dive into this roller coaster of love, betrayal, and danger, I want to know, where are you watching me from today? Drop your city, town, or country in the comments. I love seeing our family grow from all corners of the world. Tonight, I have something truly intense for you. A story of a mafia boss, forbidden love, secrets that could destroy a family, and a Christmas Eve that changes everything. Get ready to feel every heartbeat, every tear, and every thrilling moment as we follow Seth, Eden, and the fight for the future of their unborn twins. Trust me, you won't want to blink, because every second counts. So grab your snacks, cozy up, and if you love this kind of adrenaline-packed romance, hit that like button and share this with someone who loves dark, emotional mafia stories. And don't forget, comment below where you're watching me from, because I want to connect with each and every one of you before we jump into the chaos.
The storm hit the city like it had a personal grudge. Snow didn't fall. It slashed, carving through the December night with a fury that made people lock their doors and pray their power didn't go out. But Seth, the ghost, Carrington, had never feared storms. They were just weather. People were dangerous. Memories were worse. His boots crushed through inches of fresh snow as he walked up the old brick steps of the brownstone he once called home. Every inch of this place burned into him, down to the chipped corner of the third step where Eden used to complain about twisting her ankle. He hadn't been here since the day the divorce papers were signed, the day he had let her walk away, the day he pretended it didn't rip out whatever heart he had left. Now, Christmas Eve, when normal people baked cookies and lit fireplaces, Seth stood outside a door that used to open for him without knocking. The ghost never hesitated. He never doubted. He never froze. Tonight, he did. His gloved hand hovered above the door. Snow gathered in the folds of his coat. His breath came out in cold, uneven bursts. He had come here with a stupid impulse, a rare, reckless ache. He wanted to see her. He needed to see her. One sight, one moment, one something, anything. The storm howled behind him, shoving him forward like fate was done waiting. He finally knocked. 1, 2, 3 times. Then silence. Footsteps inside. Soft, hesitant. The lock clicked. The door opened. And Seth Carrington felt something he had not felt in years. Shock. Pure, paralyzing shock. Eden Moretti, his ex-wife, the woman he had once killed and bled and burned for, stood before him. Hair messy from sleep, cardigan slipping off one shoulder, bare feet on a wooden floor, eyes wide, stunned, unsure, and her stomach, rounded, full, unmistakably pregnant. He stared. She stared back. No words, no breath, no logic. Just the brutal truth punching the air out of him. His voice, when it came, sounded like it was dragged out of a dying man. Eden. She swallowed. Seth. His gaze dropped. Couldn't help it. Her hands had already moved protectively to her belly, as though she needed to shield what she carried from the storm, or from him. His throat locked. His lungs refused to work. He forced the words out anyway. "Tell me," he whispered, voice breaking at the edges. "Tell me they're mine." The storm seemed to pause. Even the wind held its breath. Eden flinched, her fingers clutching the edge of the door. Her eyes shone with a storm of their own. Fear, guilt, anger, heartbreak, things he never learned how to understand in time. "Seth," she murmured, voice shaking. "Please don't do this here. Not like this." He stepped forward instinctively. She stepped back just as fast. He froze. Her breathing quickened, his heart hammered. Everything he had been burying for months cracked open like ice under weight. "Eden." His voice was low, raw, unguarded. "Answer me." She closed her eyes for one long second, then opened them with a resignation that felt like a knife to his ribs. "They're yours." He didn't breathe for several seconds. Couldn't. Two words that rearranged his entire world. Two words that destroyed him and revived him in the same moment. He would have said something. Something desperate, something stupid. Something he would have never said to anyone else. But the buzz of the small comm stud in his ear crackled to life. He'd forgotten he was wearing it. "Boss," Luca's voice murmured sharply. "Black sedan approaching. Slow. No headlights." Seth's spine went rigid. Luca wouldn't interrupt unless the threat was real. Seth's tone shifted, hard and lethal. "Who is it?" "Can't confirm yet," Luca answered. "But the driver, the build matches Moretti's men." Seth's jaw clenched. Not tonight. Not when he cut the thought off before it hurt more. He stepped inside without asking, pushing Eden gently behind him as he reached for the gun under his coat. "Seth, what are you doing?" she whispered, grabbing his arm. "Not now," he muttered. "Stay behind me. What's happening?" He didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the street. Headlights cut through the white haze, slow and deliberate like a predator circling prey. The sedan rolled to a stop across from the brownstone, engine humming, windows tinted black. Eden, confused and afraid, whispered again, "Seth, what is that? Who is that?" Seth didn't look away from the window. Trouble. He clicked off the safety of his gun. His voice was ice, controlled, deadly. "Get away from the window, Eden. Tell me what's going on, later. You can't just, later." He finally turned to look at her, and the fear in her eyes did something violent to him, something primal, something that made him want to drag her into his arms and barricade every door in the city. But he didn't get the chance, because Luca spoke again, voice taut. "Boss, I got confirmation." "What?" "It's his car." Seth's stomach dropped. Vincenzo Moretti, the Vulture, here, now, tonight. Eden took a step toward the window, unaware, and Seth grabbed her wrist, firm, protective, fierce. "Don't." She froze. His grip loosened, but he didn't let go. She searched his face. "What aren't you telling me?" Before he could answer, the sedan engine cut. The driver's door cracked open. Eden inhaled sharply. "What is he doing?" Seth's voice was low, deadly calm. "Watching us." "Why?" He didn't sugarcoat it. "Because you're carrying something he wants." Her blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" He held her gaze, unblinking. "You're carrying my sons, and that makes you a target." Her hand flew instinctively to her belly. "Seth, it's okay," he murmured, stepping between her and the window. "I'm here now." But his stance, rigid, coiled, ready for violence, said the opposite. Nothing was okay. Not anymore. He reached for the curtain, slow, cautious, and pulled it shut. Then, a soft sound, a shift in the storm, something moving on the porch. Eden's breath hitched. "Seth, someone's outside." He didn't respond. His body moved before his mind caught up. Gun raised, shoulders squared. A shadow passed across the frosted glass, then another, then tap, a gloved knuckle. Deliberate, mocking, a knock at the door. Eden clutched Seth's sleeve, whispering, "Please tell me that's not who you think it is." Seth didn't blink. "It is." The shadow stopped moving. Then, a voice, muffled but unmistakable, slid through the door like oil. "Open up, ghost! We need to talk!" Eden's knees nearly gave out. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Seth's jaw tightened. His finger curled on the trigger. And then, the moment Eden stepped backward, her hand trembling over her stomach, a single beam of a flashlight cut through the window's crack in the curtains, and the voice outside whispered again, "Nice family you've got there." Seth's blood went cold. Eden's face drained of color. The storm roared louder, swallowing the street, and the last line of Chapter 1 hits like a blade. The front doorknob began to twist, slowly, deliberately, as someone tried to let themselves in. The doorknob froze mid-twist, as if whoever stood on the porch was savoring the fear they'd just stirred. Snow hissed against the windows, drowning every sound except Eden's quickened breathing and Seth's steady, lethal inhale. He raised a finger, silently ordering her back. Eden didn't argue this time. She retreated until her hips brushed the narrow console table, one trembling hand braced on its edge. Seth stepped to the side of the door, not in front of it. A man who survived wars didn't stand in easy aim. Another knock, harder, impatient, feral. Seth didn't move. He simply let his gun rise to chest level, angled slightly, gripped tight and sure. The knock stopped. The storm filled the silence. Then faint footsteps descended the porch steps, slow, deliberate, crunching through snow with purpose. Seth waited until the last footstep faded before unclenching his jaw. "They're not trying to break in," he murmured. "They're testing how fast I'd react." Eden shivered. "This is insane. Why would anyone—" "Because someone wants leverage," he cut in, voice sharp. "And leverage lives here now." Her hand hovered over her stomach again, the gesture automatic, terrified. Seth scanned the window without pulling the curtains back. He didn't need to look. He could feel the weight of eyes staring from across the street, watching, measuring. "Come away from the door," he said quietly. Eden hesitated only because she hated being ordered, but the look on his face left no room for defiance. She approached carefully, each step a fragile echo on the hardwood. Seth holstered his gun only when she reached his side. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "You're dragging danger to my doorstep." He turned his head slowly, deadly soft. "Danger was already here. You just didn't know." She flinched. He regretted the words instantly, but not enough to take them back. He moved deeper into the living room, eyes flicking across each shadow, tracing every possible angle of assault. His mind worked with the cold precision he was known for, mapping escape routes, cover points, blind spots. Only when he was certain no one was inside did he speak again. "Turn off all the lights." Eden blinked. "What?" "Do it." Her pulse kicked hard. "Seth, He stepped closer. "Someone is watching this house. Watching you. The glow from the windows makes us targets." She swallowed, throat tight. "Fine." She moved quickly, switching off one lamp, then another. The house slowly fell into dimness, the storm outside painting faint silver streaks across the floorboards. Seth watched her. Not just her movements, the way she kept one arm curved protectively around herself without realizing, the way fear made her shoulders tense, the way exhaustion clung to her like bruises. When the last light died, she faced him in the soft half-dark. "What did they want from me, Seth?" she whispered. His jaw flexed. "Not you." Her breath hitched. "Then what?" "The children." The words sliced through the space between them. For a moment, Eden didn't breathe. Couldn't. "You're not serious," she choked. "Seth, no one even knows." "They know," he interrupted. "Tonight proves it." She backed up a step, shaking her head. "How? How would they know something I barely had time to process myself?" He didn't answer right away, because the truth was ugly and sharp and unavoidable. "Your last name," he said finally. Eden froze. "What about it?" "Moretti," he said. "A name with history. A name many people in my world have opinions about." Her fingers curled tightly at her sides. "I left that life behind. You know I did." "That doesn't erase what you're born into." "And what you're born into," she snapped. "Don't pretend you're innocent in this." The room crackled with tension. The storm beat against the windows like fists. Seth didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Eden, look at me." She didn't, so he stepped into her line of sight, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You're carrying my sons," he said, quiet but unyielding, "and that makes you a bargaining chip, a threat, a prize." Depends who's looking. Eden's face twisted in horror. No, Seth, no, this can't be. It is. He took a slow breath, steady, controlled. I need to know exactly when the pregnancy became visible. Her eyes widened with disbelief. You're a monster. Answer the question. You're analyzing me like I'm part of a tactical briefing because your life depends on it. Eden's anger cracked, giving way to panic. I'm 6 months, she whispered. He's 6. I hid it well for a while, but you saw. There's no hiding it anymore. Seth's expression turned grim. That's enough time for information to travel. Her voice trembled. Information to who? He hesitated. Seth. Her voice thinned, pleading. Tell me who's after me. He didn't blink. Vincenzo Moretti. Eden went still. No shaking, no arguing, no cry of disbelief, just silence. Cold, sharp, terrified recognition. Vincenzo, she whispered. I haven't heard that name since... Seth's eyes narrowed. Since when? She shut down instantly. That's not important. It is. No. Eden, drop it. Before he could push, her phone suddenly vibrated on the kitchen counter. Both of them jerked toward the sound. Eden stared. Seth drew his gun. The storm swallowed the world outside. The lights were off. The house was dark, and the screen lit up. Unknown number, Eden whispered. Don't answer it. But the phone vibrated again. 3 sharp pulses. Then it stopped. Then a single text appeared. Eden reached for it with a shaking hand, but Seth got there first. He picked up the phone and turned the screen toward himself. 1 message, 1 sentence. Tell your husband to step away from the window. Eden clamped a hand over her mouth. Seth's pupils constricted. He didn't move to the window. He moved away from it fast, pulling Eden behind him. They're close, he muttered. Very close. Her voice cracked. Seth, what do we do? He didn't hesitate. He reached into his coat, pulled out a burner phone, and typed 1 message to Luca. Confirm second vehicle. 3 seconds later, the reply came. Negative, they're on the ground, not in cars. Seth's skin chilled. This wasn't intimidation. This wasn't surveillance. This was positioning. Eden stepped back, bumping into the kitchen counter. Seth, please, just tell me what's happening. He looked at her with the brutal honesty of a man who'd run out of lies. Someone has eyes on this house. Someone close enough to see us moving in the dark. Why? She whispered. His answer was low and cold. Because they're waiting for the right moment to take you. Eden's knees nearly buckled. Seth caught her wrists, not harshly, not gently, but with a steadiness that anchored her to the earth. You're not alone anymore, he said. I am here. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't want him to see. You can't stay, she breathed. Your presence makes it worse. Without me, you wouldn't survive the night. That silence was thicker than the storm. Eden inhaled shakily. What do you need me to do? First, trust me. She closed her eyes. That's harder than you think. He stepped closer, his voice low, rough, unfiltered. Do it anyway. Another vibration. The phone screen lit up again. This time, no number, no text, just a live photo taken seconds ago from outside her window. It showed her silhouette in the dark kitchen and a shadow behind her, not Seth's. Her stomach dropped violently. Seth, that's... I know. He grabbed her arm. And the instant he did, a faint metallic click echoed from the back of the house. Seth's eyes snapped toward the sound. Someone was at the rear door. Someone inside the yard, inside the property, already too close. He shoved Eden behind him. Don't move. Her pulse hammered so loudly she couldn't hear the storm anymore. A second click, then a slow creak. The back door was opening. The chapter ends the moment Seth raises his gun toward the kitchen doorway as a black-gloved hand curls around the frame, and a cold, unfamiliar voice whispers from the darkness, "Found you." The voice coming from the darkness wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was the kind of voice built to slip under doors, slide into locked rooms, and coil itself around the spine of whoever heard it. "Found you." Eden clamped a hand over her mouth. Seth leveled his gun with a speed that didn't belong to a human being. He stepped in front of her so fast her breath caught in her throat. A shadow drifted inside the kitchen doorway, not stepping fully in, not retreating. Testing boundaries, testing reactions. The storm behind them hissed through the cracked open door, blowing snow across the tiles. Seth didn't fire, which told Eden everything she needed to know. This wasn't a disposable thug. This was someone meant to send a message. A single gloved hand pushed the door wider, just enough to reveal the intruder's silhouette. A lean shape, deliberately obscured, face hidden behind a black scarf and a hood pulled low. "Ghost," the figure murmured, almost admiring. "You still move faster than rumor says." Seth's voice dropped to a deadly calm that Eden had only heard once before, the night he'd come home covered in someone else's blood. "You have 3 seconds to step back outside," he said, "if you value breathing." The intruder tilted his head as if amused. "Your reputation suggests you never warn anyone." "I'm evolving. And here I thought fatherhood would soften you." Eden stiffened. Seth's jaw locked so tight his teeth might have cracked. He took 1 step forward, gun aimed between the intruder's eyes. "Say that again." The figure lifted both hands slowly, not surrender, more like baiting him. "You're predictable, Ghost. That's why he sent me." There was only one he that mattered. "Vincenzo," Seth growled. The intruder didn't deny it. Snow gusted violently through the open door, scattering flakes across the kitchen floor. The temperature dropped enough that Eden shivered violently. "You came into my home," Seth said, taking another step forward, voice low as a blade, "where she sleeps, where she eats, where she breathes. You crossed a line your boss can't afford to lose men over." "Oh, I'm not here to die," the intruder said lightly, "just to look around, confirm a rumor." Seth's trigger finger twitched. "Which rumor?" The intruder's gaze slid to Eden, the one about what she's carrying. Eden sucked in a breath. Her arms instinctively wrapped around her stomach like a shield. Seth shifted to block the intruder's view, his entire body coiled with lethal intent. "You don't get to look at her," Seth said. The intruder chuckled. "Possessive, aren't we?" Seth aimed higher. "1." The intruder paused. "Careful, Ghost. Killing me won't stop what's coming." 2. "Moretti doesn't want her harmed," the intruder insisted. "He wants..." 3. Seth fired. The shot cracked through the kitchen like a violent exhale. The bullet slammed into the doorframe inches from the intruder's head, sending splinters raining down. The figure stumbled back, startled for the first time. Seth stepped forward. "Next one goes through your skull." The intruder cursed under his breath, then slipped backward out the door, boots crunching through fresh snow. "Consider the message delivered," he hissed. "The Vulture knows." Seth lunged forward to follow, but a second silhouette cut through the storm outside, broad-shouldered, leaning casually against the porch railing like he owned the night. Even through the curtain of snow, the man's smirk was unmistakable. Vincenzo Moretti. He didn't speak. He didn't wave. He didn't approach. He just stood there, perfectly still, as if he were savoring the sight of the chaos he'd orchestrated. Seth froze in the doorway, gun raised, teeth gritted. For a full 5 seconds, neither man moved. Time became a thread pulled tight between them. Then Vincenzo lifted one finger, a gesture, a warning, a promise. He pointed that finger directly at Eden's window. Then he tapped his wrist, like a man checking the time. Tick-tock. Eden covered her mouth to stop a cry. Seth's entire body tensed like he might leap off the porch and rip Vincenzo apart with his bare hands. But the Vulture simply smiled, turned, and slipped into the back seat of the black sedan. His men followed. The door closed. The engine purred. The car rolled away with slow confidence, tires cutting clean lines through the snow. Seth didn't lower his gun until the taillights vanished around the corner. Only then did he shut the kitchen door, bolting every lock. His shoulders rose and fell with tight, controlled breaths. Eden watched him from across the room, her heart hammering. "Seth." "Don't," he muttered. "Not yet." He paced the length of the kitchen, mind working. Calculating, planning. His movements were jerky, frantic, the closest she'd ever seen him to losing composure. Finally, Eden found her voice. "Tell me what he wants. Tell me why he's here." Seth didn't look at her. "He's hunting weakness." "That doesn't explain." "He thinks you're my weakness." She swallowed. "Hard." "Am I?" He stopped moving. His shoulders stiffened. His breath hitched once. He didn't turn, but his voice came out torn between fury and truth. "You're the only thing he can use against me." Her heart twisted. Before she could speak again, Seth stepped closer, eyes colder than knife steel. "He's going to keep coming back. He's going to test every angle, and if he can't get to me, he'll take you." Eden shook her head, horrified. "I didn't choose any of this." "I know." "I didn't choose your world." "I know." "I didn't choose to—" Her voice broke. "To raise children in the middle of a blood feud." His expression cracked, pain flickering across it like lightning. It was gone in a second, replaced by the iron resolve he wore like armor. "You won't raise them in this," he said. "I won't let you." "How?" Eden whispered. "How do you fight someone like him?" "I don't fight him." Seth's voice lowered. "I end him." Before she could react, Luca's voice burst through the earpiece Seth still wore. "Boss, we have a bigger problem." Seth stiffened. "What?" "You need to look out the front window." Eden went pale. "Seth, no, don't." But he was already moving, gun in hand. He approached the front window with slow, disciplined steps, pulling the curtain aside just an inch, just enough for him to see. His body went rigid. Eden's heart slammed painfully against her ribs. "What is it?" Seth didn't answer. He dropped the curtain, turned toward her, eyes black with fury. "Seth," Eden whispered, "what did you see?" His voice came out like broken gravel. "He left something." Eden trembled. What did he leave?" Seth stepped aside, allowing her to look. She inched forward, dread coiling in her stomach. She lifted the curtain with shaking fingers, and her scream ripped through the entire house. On her porch, half buried in snow, sat a small gift-wrapped box, a Christmas present. Red ribbon, neat bow, perfectly centered. Beside it, a card stuck upright in the snow, Eden's name written in bold black ink. But that wasn't what made her collapse to her knees. It was the stain on the ribbon, dark, fresh, dripping, blood. Seth caught her before she hit the floor, pulling her into his chest. Eden sobbed uncontrollably. Outside, the storm screamed. Inside, the world cracked open. And the chapter ends with Seth whispering, venom and terror mingling in his voice. "Eden, that's not a warning. That's a countdown." The snow outside had turned to slush in the faint glow of streetlights, each flake a muted echo of the storm that refused to die. Seth Carrington's eyes never left the house's perimeter, moving faster than the eye could follow, calculating angles, paths, possible threats. Eden clutched her coat tighter around her belly, shivering despite the heat inside the brownstone. Her teeth chattered as adrenaline coursed through her veins, mixing fear with something else. A desperate, fragile hope. Seth didn't notice her trembling yet. His senses were honed for danger, not for human fragility. Then came the sound. A crash from the front window. Seth's head snapped toward it. He didn't need to see the glass shatter to know what it meant. He moved with instinct born of decades of survival. Grabbing Eden, yanking her low to the floor. Splinters and shards of glass sprayed across the room. The smell of metal and cold hit her nostrils. Panic gripped her chest. "They're here!" Seth growled, voice low but commanding. "Stay down!" Eden pressed her face into his chest, listening to the storm and the chaos outside. She could hear gunmetal scraping, boots crunching through snow, and the faint, malicious laughter of men who knew they had a chance to corner prey. Seth's hands were cold and firm on her arms as he pushed her toward the side door in the kitchen, the one Luca had mentioned in the earpiece earlier. Every step was precise, calculated, yet fast, balancing urgency with stealth. Each movement screamed survival, and Eden couldn't help but feel the magnetism of it, the lethal precision of a man who existed to dominate and survive. Outside, headlights of black SUVs cut through the curtain of snow. Guns drawn, they stalked the house, checking corners, watching windows. Seth had anticipated their approach. He'd already memorized all exit routes, all choke points. Tonight, his home would be a fortress and a battlefield. Eden stumbled over a rug and cried out. Seth's hand shot out, steadying her. "Do not make a sound," he whispered harshly, his breath warm against her ear. "Not one." She nodded, too terrified to move. Her heartbeat was thunderous. His heartbeat was steady, lethal, an anchor in the storm. From outside came another crash, this time from the back door. The intruders were systematic. They didn't rush. They didn't panic. They circled. Tactical, trained, confident. That confidence made Seth's blood run hot with fury. He grabbed Eden, pulling her low into the pantry as another shot tore through the kitchen wall. Dust and fragments rained down around them. Eden's hands gripped his coat, nails digging into leather. His shoulder pressed against hers, his gun sweeping the doorway like a predator. "Luca," Seth hissed into his earpiece. "Status." "2 shooters on the west side," Luca's voice crackled. "Vulture's men. They're coordinating, boss. You need to move." Seth's mind raced. This was no longer a simple intrusion. It was a trap. They were trying to corral him, separate him from Eden, test his reaction. And he wasn't about to give them the satisfaction. "Eden," he said, voice now gentle but firm, "I need you to trust me completely. Not just for tonight, but for what comes after." Her eyes brimmed with tears. "I trust you, Seth. I don't want our children." "They'll survive," he promised, though every instinct screamed danger. "I won't let them be a bargaining chip." A third crash shattered the window in the living room. Seth moved first. Eden pressed into his back, heart lodged in her throat. The shooters were coordinated, moving with lethal efficiency, but Seth's experience was older, darker, sharper. He calculated the exit, adjusted, and in one fluid motion, scooped Eden into his arms and bolted toward the back door. The snow was up to her knees by the time they reached the yard. The storm whipped violently, slicing into exposed skin. Seth shielded her as they ran, boots crunching on ice, breath freezing in the cold. Every sense screamed alert. Shadows danced among the trees. Every sound could be a threat. A silent shot rang out behind them. Seth dove, rolling into the snowbank with Eden still in his arms. He counted, silently, assessing, no one down yet. They were skilled. They were patient. They were predictable. And Seth wasn't. He hauled Eden to her feet, pulling her toward the SUV waiting a few meters away. The driver's door swung open. Luca's steady hands guided them inside. Seth slid in after her, gun trained on the approaching darkness. Every heartbeat was a hammer, every breath a countdown. "Where's the backup?" Seth asked. "Delayed," Luca replied, teeth gritted, eyes scanning. "We're on our own for now." Seth's jaw tightened. "Fine, then we move fast." Eden tried to speak, but only a strangled breath came out. Her body pressed against his. Fear and relief tangled together. Seth caught the gesture and pressed a hand to her back. "It's okay," he whispered. "I've got you." The SUV roared to life, tires spinning in snow and mud, peeling away from the house just as another round of gunfire erupted behind them. Shards of ice and snow exploded like shrapnel. Seth's eyes were dark, scanning every direction, every shadow, calculating trajectories and exit strategies simultaneously. Eden gripped the seat, stomach twisting with fear and adrenaline. Seth, why is he doing this? Why now? Seth's gaze hardened, jaw flexing. Because he thinks I'm vulnerable, because he thinks you make me soft, and because he knows the only way to hurt me is through you. Her hands trembled as she pressed her fingers into the leather seat. You've survived. Everything. How is this different? His eyes flicked to her, sharp, piercing. This is my family. This is my weakness. That's what makes it dangerous. The SUV swerved as another vehicle attempted to block their escape. Seth's reflexes kicked in. Tires screeched, guns raised, rapid-fire bursts from Luca driving off any threat that came too close. The night became a blur of snow, steel, and adrenaline. Eden looked at him, breathless, desperate. Seth, we can't outrun him forever. He glanced at her, eyes burning with deadly determination. We don't have to. We survive tonight, and then we make sure he never comes near again. But even as he said it, a flicker of unease crossed his mind. Vincenzo was never reckless. He didn't hunt like this unless he had a plan, and Seth knew that plan had layers Seth hadn't even uncovered yet. The SUV hit a slick patch. Tires spun, snow sprayed. Eden screamed as the vehicle slid dangerously close to a tree line. Seth reached over, gripping the wheel, correcting the drift with precision born of countless near-death escapes. They were moving, yes, but the storm wasn't the only thing surrounding them. Shadows moved in the distance, dark shapes racing alongside, closing in. Seth didn't panic. He never did. But he didn't lie to himself either. This was going to be worse than anything he had faced in years. Eden's voice cracked. They're going to kill us, aren't they? Seth turned his head briefly, lips brushing her temple. Not while I breathe. A long silence followed. The only sound was the SUV cutting through the storm, snow kicking up behind them. But then, a screech from the left, tires, screeching. A second vehicle had appeared out of nowhere. Seth's heart froze for a fraction of a second, then adrenaline surged. His hands gripped the wheel, gun raised simultaneously. The other vehicle rammed them from the side, sending the SUV skidding violently into the snowy verge. Eden screamed. Seth held her tight, steering with precision, barely keeping control. "Hold on!" he shouted, voice a weapon of command and rage. The SUV lurched, snow flying, ice cracking beneath them. Another vehicle joined the chase. Shots rang out, metal on metal, bullets ricocheting through the night. Seth pressed the accelerator, weaving between trees, snowbanks, and obstacles. Every second felt stretched, elongated, like the night itself was testing his limits. Eden gripped him, terror mingling with something else. Trust. Desperate. Fragile. Complete trust. Through the howling storm, through the chaos, Seth saw the silhouette he feared most emerge behind the second SUV. A tall figure leaned out, gun aimed with perfect precision. Eden's gasp tore through the air. Time slowed. Seth's eyes narrowed. His hand tensed on the steering wheel, his gun raised. He knew the only way out was forward. There was no other option, no hesitation. And in that moment, the world narrowed to two people, him and Eden. The storm, the blood, the violence. It all fell away. Survival depended entirely on his next move. A shadow lunged from the second SUV. A gloved hand reached toward Eden's door handle. Seth's teeth clenched. His instincts screamed. He made a decision faster than thought. He spun the wheel sharply, sliding the SUV into a drift that threw the attacker to the ground. But another figure emerged from the darkness, blocking their path, gun raised. Seth's voice roared above the storm. "Hold on!" Eden buried her face into his chest. Her voice trembled. "Seth, we're done for." He shook his head, eyes black, teeth gritted, jaw tight as iron. "No, not tonight." The storm raged around them. Snow pelted the windshield like bullets. Tires screamed. Guns roared. And then, suddenly, the SUV flipped on its side as a third vehicle slammed into them, throwing everything into chaos. Eden screamed as the vehicle tumbled in the snow. Seth's hand shot out, gripping her, pulling her against his chest. He smashed the door open just as the SUV came to a violent stop against a frozen tree. Breathless, frozen, heart pounding like war drums. Seth pulled Eden out of the wreckage. Snow bit at her skin. Ice cut her cheek. The world was chaos, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. He turned to scan the perimeter. Dark figures were moving closer, organized, armed, methodical. Eden's voice quavered. "Seth." "What now?" Seth's jaw flexed. His eyes narrowed with lethal resolve. "We fight, or we die trying." The wind howled, snow blinded, and Seth lifted his gun toward the advancing shapes. And the chapter ends with a single, chilling line. A figure stepped from the shadows, dripping wet from the storm, smiling. A face Seth never expected to see. The storm had softened into a relentless blizzard, snow slicing against skin, visibility nearly zero. The trees around the crash site groaned under the weight of ice, branches swinging unpredictably in the wind. Seth Carrington crouched low behind a snow-covered fallen log, gun raised, eyes scanning every shadow. The taste of adrenaline was sharp in his mouth, mingling with the metallic tang of snow and ice. Eden clung to him like her life depended on it, because it did. Her fingers dug into his coat, nails breaking the surface of the leather. Seth felt every tremble, every rapid heartbeat, every tiny flutter of panic. And it drove a fierce protectiveness into him, deeper than the storm outside could ever reach. He didn't speak immediately. Words could wait. Observation could not. Every crunch of snow was a potential ambush. Every dark silhouette could be Moretti's men, silent, trained, ruthless. He counted at least 4 approaching figures before he even considered breathing. Eden whispered, "Seth, they're coming." "I know," he replied, his voice a low growl that vibrated with danger. "We're going to make them regret it." The first shadow stepped into the dim moonlight reflected on the snow. Seth's finger tensed on the trigger. His breath slowed, controlled. Heartbeats mattered here, milliseconds deciding life or death. The intruder, one of Vincenzo's scouts, paused, glancing left and right, unaware they were being watched. The ghost didn't hesitate. One shot, precise, silent, and the man crumpled into the snow without a sound. Seth dragged him out of sight before the others could notice. Eden gasped. You killed him. Just like that?" Seth didn't answer immediately. He only motioned for her to move, keeping low. "Every second we waste talking is a second they find a way to kill us both." They pressed forward, moving silently through the knee-deep snow. Every step left tracks. Every crunch carried sound. But Seth had trained for this. He avoided broken branches, slid silently behind snowbanks, and calculated angles with deadly precision. "Why didn't they go after us right after the SUV?" Eden asked, voice trembling. "Why set a trap now?" Seth's jaw tightened. "Because they wanted you to think we were safe. Because they wanted you to panic. And because they want me distracted when the real attack comes." Her stomach churned. "And when is that?" He didn't answer. He never did until the moment arrived. A faint whistle of air drew his attention, a tripwire, almost invisible beneath the snow. His gut tensed. Someone had prepared for pursuit, had anticipated their movements. Seth gestured for Eden to stop. His hands moved quickly, disabling the trap with surgical precision. "Boss," Luca's voice crackled through the earpiece. "Another vehicle approaching from the north. Looks like they're trying to encircle us." Seth's gaze narrowed. "Copy that. Keep eyes open. No mistakes." The snow erupted behind them as another figure slid silently into the clearing. This one wasn't alone. 2 more flanked him, moving with lethal coordination. Every move screamed training. Every gesture whispered death. Seth crouched lower, pulling Eden down. "Stay close. Do exactly as I say." She nodded, trembling, teeth chattering, but she obeyed. Trust was all they had right now. He rose just enough to fire. 3 rapid shots rang through the frozen air, taking down the lead attacker. Snow flew. The others reacted instantly, opening fire. Seth ducked behind a snowbank, returning fire with ruthless precision. Bullets tore through the night. Eden clutched him, hiding beneath his arm as he moved. "You're amazing," she whispered, voice shaking. "How do you survive this?" "I don't survive," he said, jaw tight, eyes scanning. "I finish it every time." Another shadow appeared, aiming directly at Eden. Seth lunged, knocking her out of the line of fire, dragging her into the hollow of a tree trunk. Bullets chipped the bark. Sparks flew. Seth's breath came heavy but measured. Are we going to die?" she asked, panic rising in her tone. He turned to her, eyes blazing. "Not tonight. Not while I'm here." But the storm, the shadows, and Vincenzo's men were relentless. They advanced in silence, circling, testing, waiting. Every escape route Seth considered was slowly being closed. Eden's hand brushed against something cold. A small, rectangular object buried in the snow, an envelope, blood-stained, sealed with red wax. She froze. Seth saw it immediately. "Don't touch it," he snapped, but curiosity gnawed at her fingers. "It's addressed to me," she whispered. "Don't—" he started, but she tore it open before he could stop her. The letter inside was short, handwritten, sharp, black ink. "You think you can hide. You think the ghost can protect her. You have 24 hours before I claim what's mine." Eden's hands shook. Seth's grip tightened around her shoulders. Vincenzo, the Vulture. His message was precise, calculated, designed to terrify them. Seth ground his teeth. Every second of hesitation could cost lives. "We need to move," he growled, scanning the tree line. Shadows were everywhere. Snow was deep, visibility low. They were trapped between death and the unknown. A sudden crack to their left. Seth spun, gun raised. Another figure emerged from the snow, a sniper, concealed until now. Eden cried out. Seth lunged, pulling her low. A shot rang out, splintering a tree trunk mere inches from their heads. He returned fire, locating the shooter through fleeting flashes of movement. "You have no idea what you're up against," he muttered under his breath. Eden whispered, "I do. I'm standing right here with you." His chest rose and fell rapidly. "That's what scares him. That's what scares me. That's why he won't stop until one of us is dead." Another set of figures emerged from the tree line. Seth's teeth clenched. They were boxed in, outnumbered and vulnerable. But retreat was impossible. He grabbed Eden, dragging her behind another mound of snow. "We fight forward. Every step counts." "Follow me, exactly." The air was filled with the sound of cracking snow, muffled gunfire, and the faint howl of the blizzard. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown. Every step was a gamble. Seth's eyes scanned the shadows. Something felt off, too quiet, too controlled. He froze, signaled to Eden to do the same. A movement to their right. A figure stepped out slowly, deliberately, not attacking, watching, smiling. Seth's jaw tightened. He recognized that smile, that presence. Someone he hadn't seen in years, someone thought long gone. Eden's breath hitched. "Seth, who is that?" He didn't answer immediately. His hand tightened on his gun. Then the figure's voice cut through the storm. "Hello, ghost. It's been a long time." Seth's eyes went wide, not in recognition, but in pure, frozen horror. The chapter ends with the snow swirling violently around them as Seth whispers through clenched teeth, "No, it can't be. Not here. Not now." The forest had grown eerily quiet. The storm's fury outside was reduced to a persistent wet hiss, but the tension inside the small clearing was a living thing, thick, oppressive, and suffocating. Snow clung to every branch, coating the ground in blinding white, yet it did nothing to hide the shadows moving with deadly intent. Seth Carrington crouched low behind a mound of snow, gun in hand, breath steady despite the storm and the chaos that had almost claimed them moments ago. Every muscle in his body screamed tension, every sense heightened beyond human ability. He scanned the tree line, calculating angles, escape routes, and threats. Mentally noting which of Vincenzo's men were still active and which had been neutralized, Eden pressed herself to his side, body trembling, face pale. Fear mingled with relief, exhaustion, and awe. She had followed him through the chaos, survived because he had survived. Yet she could feel the darkness closing in, the palpable presence of danger that no snowstorm could obscure. "Seth," she whispered, voice barely audible over the soft hiss of falling snow. "What now? Where do we go?" He didn't answer. Not yet. Not until he was certain of the perimeter. His eyes flicked toward the direction the figure from before had disappeared, the one whose voice still haunted him. "Hello, ghost. It's been a long time." The words were carved into his mind like daggers. That presence wasn't just a surprise, it was a revelation. Someone he thought gone forever, someone he had trusted, someone who had betrayed him once before. And now, here they were, in the middle of a blizzard poised to strike again. Seth motioned for Eden to stay low. "Do exactly what I say," he murmured. "No sudden movements. Not a sound." Her hands gripped his coat tighter. "Seth, please tell me who it is." He clenched his jaw. "You don't want to know yet. Not until the right moment." Movement to the left. A flash of black against the white snow. Someone was coming. Careful, controlled, calculating. Seth rose just enough to fire a warning shot that echoed through the frozen forest. The figure froze, then dropped low, retreating slightly. Eden's voice trembled. "Are we going to make it out of this alive?" Seth's eyes softened briefly. The ghost of the man who loved her, shining through the relentless predator. "I promise. We survive tonight, no matter what." But deep in his gut, he knew the storm wasn't the only thing they were fighting. There was a secret, a hidden truth that was about to reveal itself. Another figure emerged from the shadows, this one taller, broader, moving with a purpose that set Seth's instincts on fire. Recognition hit him like a sledgehammer. "Vincenzo," Eden breathed. Seth's eyes didn't leave the figure. "Not yet. Watch." The man stepped into the clearing, and for the first time Seth could see him fully in the dim light. His posture, his confidence, his control. But he wasn't alone. Behind him, emerging from the snow-covered trees, were two more figures. And in front, a third. And the one leading them, the one at the forefront, was someone Seth hadn't expected. Eden's gasp cut through the cold. Seth's body tensed. Why is she here?" Eden whispered, voice cracking. Seth's eyes narrowed. His heart sank. His lips pressed into a hard line. "Because she knows more than anyone should. Because she's the key to this entire operation." The figure stepped forward and Seth's vision sharpened. Recognition hit him fully, and a cold, hollow rage filled his chest. "Miranda!" he growled. The loyal assistant who had been with him for years, the one he trusted above all, stood there, a smirk on her lips that chilled him to the bone. But there was something in her eyes. Hesitation, fear, and something else. Guilt. "Seth," she began, voice trembling but controlled. "You need to listen. It's not what you think." He laughed, a bitter, sharp sound that cut through the cold air. "Not what I think, Miranda. You're standing with him, with Vincenzo, against me." Her gaze fell. "I had no choice. Enough!" Seth snapped, stepping forward, gun raised, every muscle coiled for action. "Tell me the truth. Now." Miranda swallowed. The snow seemed to still around her as she took a slow step forward. Eden, you're carrying more than just Seth's children. Eden's stomach twisted. What do you mean? Seth's eyes narrowed, voice cold as ice. Explain. Miranda met his gaze, her voice trembling but firm. It's twins, Matteo and Gabriel, and there's a clause. A legacy. Vincenzo's been planning this for years. The Moretti bloodline, your sons. They're the key to controlling everything. If he gets them, Seth, your empire, your life, everything ends. Eden's knees buckled. She pressed a hand to her belly, feeling the life growing inside her, the innocent, fragile hope. Seth caught her, steadying her. His chest heaved with anger, disbelief, and fear. You knew? He hissed at Miranda, his eyes blazing. I didn't want him to know yet, she admitted. I tried to protect you both, but he found out. And he's moving faster than we anticipated. Seth's mind raced. Every plan, every contingency, every instinct screamed danger. Vincenzo had orchestrated this entire night, this storm, this chase, this trap. And it had been aimed not at him, but at Eden, at the twins. Eden's voice shook. Seth, what does this mean? Are they trying to take me? Or the babies? Both, Seth said, teeth clenched. Both. And if we don't act now, they'll succeed. Miranda stepped closer. There's more. The betrayal runs deeper than you think. There's someone inside your ranks, Seth. Someone feeding Vincenzo information about your moves. Your movements tonight weren't mistakes. They were anticipated. Seth's hand tightened on his gun. Who? Miranda hesitated, eyes darting nervously. I can't say. Not yet, but he's closer than you think, and he's watching right now. The revelation hit Seth like a physical blow. His world, the only thing he thought he could trust, had a crack, a deep, dangerous fracture. Eden's voice was barely a whisper. Seth, what do we do? He pressed a hand to her cheek, eyes burning with resolve. We survive. We protect the babies. And we end this. Tonight. No mercy. A sudden noise froze them. A soft crunch in the snow. Not multiple footsteps. One. Calculated. Controlled. Seth's pulse spiked. His gun rose in a heartbeat. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Slow, deliberate. The storm whipped snow around them, revealing a face Seth had sworn he would never see again. A gasp escaped Eden's lips. No, it can't be. Seth's heart dropped. His gun didn't lower. His voice was a harsh whisper. It's you. The figure's eyes glinted in the dim light, cold, unforgiving, and a slow, horrifying smile spread across their face. The chapter ends with Seth's mind screaming, all this time you were never gone. You've been waiting. For me, for her, for them. The forest had fallen silent, a deceptive quiet that weighed on Seth Carrington's shoulders like iron. Snow swirled around them, but the wind no longer carried the storm's fury. It carried something worse, anticipation, menace, and betrayal. Every flake that landed on his coat felt like a countdown toward disaster. Eden pressed closer to him, her body trembling, eyes wide with fear. Her breaths came in sharp, ragged bursts, clouding the air between them. Seth's arms were a cage, a promise, a fortress. Do not speak. Not a word, he whispered, teeth clenched. Nothing until I tell you. Behind them, the shadow lingered. The figure moved slowly, deliberately, like a predator savoring the moment before striking. It was impossible to tell if they were friend or foe. Seth's instincts screamed betrayal. He could feel it in the way the figure's footsteps barely crunched in the snow, the way their eyes glinted beneath the hood. You've been hiding, Seth muttered under his breath. Waiting. The figure tilted their head, expression unreadable beneath the hood. Then the snow shifted, revealing something familiar, horrifyingly familiar. Marcus? Seth's voice cracked slightly, disbelief mingled with rage. "Yes," the man confirmed, his tone low and menacing. "Back from the dead, ghost. You didn't think I'd stay buried, did you?" Eden gasped, clutching Seth's arm. "Seth, who is he?" Seth didn't answer. Not yet. His jaw flexed, body coiled. Every training, every instinct, every memory of betrayal and blood flowed through him in a heartbeat. Marcus had been part of Seth's inner circle once, the man Seth had trusted with his life, with secrets, with everything. But betrayal had left him dead, or so Seth believed. Now he was alive, and standing in the snow, smiling like the winter itself had carved him from ice. "Why are you here?" Seth demanded, voice low, dangerous, grinding like metal. "What do you want?" Marcus smiled, teeth flashing in the dim light. "What I've always wanted, Ghost. You. Everything you hold dear. Eden. The children. Your empire. It's all mine if I play it right." Eden's hands flew to her mouth. "No, no, this can't be happening." "It is," Seth said, jaw tight, "and you're not walking away from this alive." Marcus stepped closer, each movement measured. He carried no weapon, yet every inch of his posture screamed violence. "I don't need one. Not yet. You see, I've been inside your walls longer than you think. Every plan you made tonight, I've known. Every step you took, I anticipated. And every weakness, I've exploited." Seth's chest tightened. His fists clenched around his gun, the cold steel burning his skin. "You've crossed the line, Marcus. This is personal now." Marcus tilted his head. "Everything I do is personal, Ghost. Don't pretend you don't understand that." Eden trembled violently. "Seth, what do we do?" He pressed a hand to her belly, eyes blazing. "We survive, and then we end him." The snow around them shifted again. Marcus's smile widened. "Oh, you'll have your chance, but first—" He raised a hand and a faint click echoed through the clearing. Seth froze instantly. "I planted explosives," Marcus said calmly, "around the perimeter. Every escape route you might take, rigged. Every path, blocked. You have exactly 5 minutes before it's all gone." Eden's eyes widened in horror. 5 minutes? Seth's gaze hardened. "Not happening. Not while I'm breathing." Marcus chuckled, low and cruel. "I wouldn't be so sure. You've been too predictable, Ghost. You always protect first, always lead with yourself, always think of her. That's why I knew you'd bring her here. And now, you're trapped." Seth's mind raced. Every plan, every exit, every strategy he had ever relied on seemed to crumble under the weight of betrayal. He turned to Eden. "Listen to me. No matter what happens, you run when I say. Do you understand?" "Yes," she whispered, terrified. "Good. Stay close. Watch me. Trust me." Marcus's laugh cut through the blizzard. "Oh, she trusts you. That's why this will be fun, because even if you survive, Ghost, you'll realize I've won before it's over." The tension cracked like a whip. Seth's hand tightened on the gun. He lunged forward, firing a warning shot that embedded into a tree just behind Marcus. The snow exploded around him. Marcus jumped back, agile, smirking. "Quick," Marcus taunted, "but not quick enough." Seth's mind moved faster than light. He grabbed Eden, pulling her behind a fallen tree. Gunfire erupted, ricocheting off branches, snow spraying like shrapnel. Every heartbeat was a countdown, every second a trap tightening around them. Eden whimpered. "Seth, he's everywhere." Seth's voice was steel. "Then we make sure he doesn't stay anywhere alive." Marcus advanced again. Seth fired, each shot precise, calculated. Marcus ducked, rolled, vanished into the snow like a shadow. Seth cursed under his breath. He knew Marcus wasn't just skilled, he was smarter. He had anticipated Seth's every move. The forest seemed to close in, shadows twisting into deadly forms. Suddenly, a flare of red light appeared in the distance, illuminating a clearing they hadn't noticed. And there, chained to a tree, struggling, her face pale and tear-streaked, was someone Seth had sworn to protect. Eden's eyes widened in horror. No, that's not possible. Seth's stomach dropped. Rage exploded in his chest. Move, he growled. Stay low, stay close. They sprinted toward the figure, snow kicking up around them. Marcus's laugh echoed, low and haunting from behind a snowbank. You're not getting there in time, Ghost. Not without leaving yourself exposed. Not without losing something else. Seth's gun swept the perimeter. He fired down 2 approaching figures. Eden cried out as snow sprayed over her. He pressed forward, moving like a storm incarnate, every movement perfect, every breath controlled. Finally, they reached the tree. Seth's hands worked quickly, chains snapping under his strength. The figure collapsed into his arms. Relief hit him like a wave, but it was brief. The ground shuddered beneath them. Marcus's voice, low and deadly, came from every direction. Time's up. Seth's head snapped toward the sound. Snow shifted violently. An unnatural, ominous silence followed. Then, a low rumble. A glow beneath the snow. Explosives Marcus had planted, every route, every escape, every cover, primed to detonate. Eden screamed. Seth pulled her close, body rigid, instinct screaming. Hold on, he whispered, teeth clenched. This isn't over yet. The chapter ends with a terrifying, heart-stopping moment. The snow erupted in a deafening roar, a violent explosion ripping through the forest, and in the chaos, Marcus's silhouette emerged, smiling, victorious, and holding something Seth thought he'd never see again. The snowstorm had broken, leaving the forest eerily quiet. Mist rose from the scorched earth where the explosions had ripped through trees and underbrush, the aftermath of fire and ice mingling into a haunting fog. Seth Carrington's chest heaved as he scanned the devastation. Every shadow, every lingering figure was a threat. Every heartbeat carried the weight of revenge, responsibility, and a promise he would keep at all costs. Eden clung to him, trembling yet steadfast. Her fingers were icy against his coat, nails digging into the leather, but she refused to let go. The twins inside her stirred, and she felt a fragile, powerful hope intertwining with her terror. Seth's eyes softened for the briefest second, catching the subtle movement of her belly. A flash of warmth pierced the storm of rage consuming him. "They're still out there," he muttered, voice low and deadly. "And Marcus, he's not finished." Eden swallowed hard. "Then we finish him first, together." Seth's jaw tightened. "Together," he agreed, eyes narrowing. The forest had become a labyrinth of death, but he knew every inch of it. The trees, the snow, the debris, every shadow where an enemy could hide. Marcus had anticipated some moves, yes, but he hadn't accounted for the ghost's fury when his family was at stake. A low crunch of snow alerted him. Seth spun, gun raised. Marcus appeared, stepping from behind a shattered tree, flanked by 2 men he had kept alive through the chaos. Each armed and calculating. His smile was cold, triumphant, venomous. "Quite the performance, Ghost," Marcus taunted. "But the finale is mine." Seth's teeth clenched. "Not tonight." He fired, precision deadly. Bullets tore through the snow, ricocheting off trunks. 1 henchman went down. Marcus ducked behind a fallen tree, smirking. Eden's breath hitched. "Seth, I can't." "You can," he snapped, voice steel. "Watch me, then you fight if you have to. But trust me, we survive." He lunged forward, rolling behind cover, firing again. Marcus retaliated, moving like a shadow, silent, calculating. But Seth was faster, stronger, more determined. Every movement was survival, every breath a countdown. Suddenly, one of Marcus's men broke cover, aiming directly at Eden. Seth's reflexes exploded into action. He dove, grabbing her, dragging her behind a thick snowbank. A bullet splintered the tree above them. "Eden, stay down," Seth hissed. "Do exactly as I say." "I'm trying," she cried, terror and frustration tangled together. Seth's eyes scanned the tree line. He needed a way out, a way to protect Eden and the twins, and to end Marcus's betrayal once and for all. Then he noticed the faint glow from behind a mound of snow, a flare gun Marcus had ignored, primed to signal reinforcements. "No," Seth growled, "not tonight." He grabbed Eden's hand. "We move, fast, now." The two sprinted through the debris, snow crunching, gunfire snapping behind them. Seth's heart hammered, fury and desperation fueling every stride. Eden's grip was tight, but her pace was faltering. He adjusted, holding her close, shielding her. Marcus's laugh echoed through the trees. "You think you can escape? You've already lost." Seth spun, firing at shadows that shifted unnaturally in the snow. One of Marcus's men went down with a precise shot to the chest. Another dropped as Seth rolled behind a fallen log, gun sweeping. Eden gasped, "Seth, you're incredible." "How—" "Not incredible," he interrupted, voice harsh. "Desperate." They reached a clearing. In the center was a frozen stream. The ice looked thin. Seth didn't hesitate. "Hold my hand," he commanded, "and don't let go." Eden nodded, terror in her eyes, and he pulled her across the fragile ice. Each step was a gamble. Each sound could mean death. Halfway through, a shout from Marcus's side broke the silence. Reinforcements had arrived. Cutting off retreat, Seth's teeth clenched. He spun, firing as he moved. Eden stumbled, but he caught her, protecting her from the hail of bullets. His mind raced. Survival depended on strategy, violence, and timing. "You're trapped," Marcus shouted. "No one escapes me." Seth's eyes burned. "I escape with her, and I end you tonight." Eden clutched his coat. "Seth, what about the twins? We can't—" "They survive," he said, voice low and absolute. "Because I will make sure of it. No one touches them." The two reached the opposite bank. Seth spun, covering Eden as she scrambled up the slope. Bullets tore through the snow behind them. He rolled, fired, and took down two men with surgical precision. Marcus stepped forward, fury in his eyes. "You won't leave here alive, ghost." Seth didn't respond with words. He moved. Every shot, every motion was lethal. Marcus fired, narrowly missing Seth's shoulder. Seth rolled, slid, and came up behind Marcus. A brutal hand-to-hand fight erupted, fists, elbows, bodies colliding in a violent dance of survival. Eden screamed as the two men crashed into a snowbank. Seth's rage was absolute. Every betrayal, every threat, every danger, channeled into a single focused goal, to end Marcus and protect Eden and the unborn children. Finally, with a calculated move, Seth disarmed Marcus, sending the gun skidding across the ice. Marcus lunged, knife flashing, but Seth caught his wrist, twisted it, and forced him to the ground. "You've lost," Seth growled, pinning him, eyes black with fury. "This ends tonight." Marcus laughed, low, bitter. "You think this ends anything? The Moretti bloodline, the Empire. It's not over. It never ends." Seth's fist connected with Marcus's jaw, hard. Marcus went still. Silence fell over the forest, punctuated only by Eden's shaky breathing. Seth turned to her, pulling her into his arms. "It's over. We survived. We're alive." Tears streaked her face. "Seth, the twins." He pressed a hand to her belly, feeling the life inside. "They're safe. I'll protect them. Always." For a moment, the storm outside seemed to pause. The forest was quiet, the danger momentarily gone. But then, a faint crack echoed across the ice. Seth's head snapped toward the sound. A figure emerged from the mist, tall, hooded, and moving with the precision of a trained predator. Eden's eyes widened. "Seth! No, it can't be." The figure stepped forward. The hood fell back. The smile was cruel, familiar. Seth's blood ran cold. His voice dropped to a whisper of pure disbelief. Not again. It's them. And the final cliffhanger strikes. A dozen more men emerged from the fog behind the figure, all armed, all closing in as the realization hit. Marcus was never alone. The true battle had only just begun.